Welcome to the Athena Wellness Podcast, the show that invites you to take a seat around the community fire and listen to stories that inspire. I'm your host, Kathy Robinson, author, coach, and founder of Athena Wellness, a company that's dedicated to supporting you on your journey to live more wholeheartedly. Today's episode is brought to you by the Athena Wellness Academy, your resource for wholehearted living. The Academy's featured offering is an online course called From Type A to Type B, How to Mindfully Descend the Corporate Ladder and Invite What's Next. This course is perfect for you if you're contemplating or navigating a professional transition, and it's available as a self-study or with a small cohort of students facilitated by me, Kathy Robinson. To learn more, I invite you to go to athenawellnessacademy.teachable.com or click on the link in the show notes. Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining me for this shortened Wellness Wednesday episode, a little midweek boost to help keep your warrior vibe high. Today I'm joined once again by Victor Briere and Joe Rich, co-founders of the International Institute of Ayurveda. In this conversation, we discuss strategies for handling the never-ending barrage of information, momentous events, and life changes that come our way on a daily basis. Links to the Institute's website and email are included in the show notes. And now on to the show. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Once again, I'm joined by Victor Briere and Joe Rich. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So I think you'd agree that we're undergoing incredible change in this world. We've talked a lot about change and transformation, but for a lot of folks out there, these times can leave us feeling very groundless. But it feels like in the past, we would get a break from derailing events to be able to catch our breath. And these days, it feels like these momentous events are coming at us with more velocity and more breadth and depth. And so I'd love to get your thoughts on how listeners might be able to work with this never-ending stream of change and events that seem to be coming our way.
Well, you've hit upon the Vegas nerve. Yeah. So when you don't feel safe, you stay in a sympathetic nervous system, and if you stay there too long, you're going to get sick. So find what's, can do it for you. If it's pranayama in a yoga class, if it's hanging out with some friends, talking, being open, being vulnerable, being caring, sharing, definitely do that. Try to stay away from the addictive substances that numb the pain, because when you're in a sympathetic distress, and like you just said so well, Kathy, you should have just answered the question. You know the answer because you asked the question correctly, so I know you know the answers. You don't want to use an addictive substance of any kind to soothe or numb pain, because you're ripe for that. And so stay away from all that kind of stuff. So community, friends, conversation, exercise, yoga, meditation, any of that kind of stuff that'll bring you back to a parasympathetic state. At least, and you're not supposed to just live in a parasympathetic state either. You're supposed to move back and forth well. So that's the idea. But like you just said, it's wave after wave. We're not getting a break. So you're going to have to find your own breaks. You have to be very careful, because maintain your health at all costs now, because that's what's going to get you through these hard times. You got to stay healthy. Got to.
Doctor, what would you add to that?
Yeah, I would say that now more than ever, we need to become more resilient. And I mean that we have to literally build that into our body. So we have to get a little bit more professional about how we take care of ourselves. It demands more. There's less leeway for error. And that's not to say we can't make mistakes, but we have to have an attitude of seriousness about our mistakes and learning from the mistake. Everyone's getting sicker younger, right? And it's all related to the frivolity with which we are taking life. So we got to be a bit more professional, I think, about our bodies and our own health. And that brings resilience.
I love this idea of discipline married up with resilience because, Joe, you make a really good point. I never really thought about it this way. We're not meant to stay in this state of bliss, right? We're meant to go in and out of these different cycles. And what you're saying is, how do you not get battered by the waves on the surface? How do you learn, whatever your practice is, and you named a number of them, to dive down deep, to allow those waves to be as they are, but you're not getting hit by them? Is that a fair way to characterize?
Yeah, I think so. In Kundalini Yoga, we call it the neutral mind, being able to respond rather than react. All those cute little sayings, But the truth of it is you got to stay out of judgment. One thing I will not tolerate in my close circle is people criticizing themselves. I don't care if somebody criticizes me at all. I really don't. There's always some truth to it, and I want to get better every day. I do not mind criticism. I will not stand for someone to criticize themselves because the world is so difficult to live in, and you're being criticized so much already. Just stepping out. You got to find a safe place, and you got to find some friends who you can talk to. We the kitchen table, man, right? I mean, the coffee at the kitchen table in the morning, even the suburban housewives, right? I mean, that was the old way, right? You went and sat with your neighbor who was your best friend and complained about how hard it is to raise children. You need an outlet like that. Don't get on some computer and type that to some person that's not really there. It's not a relationship. I'm sorry. Instagram's not a relationship. Somebody who I love very much said to me the other day, because I don't have a cell phone. She wants to WhatsApp me. She said, man, I'm going to get you a phone. I said, I can afford a phone. I don't want a phone. I want you. So just come. In India, they say that. Come. Meaning, I need the flesh and the blood. We need to touch. We need to look into each other's eyes and talk and use our hearts to communicate with.
Doctor, can you leave us with some uplifting words of wisdom?
So I grew up with cell phones and computers. I played so many video games all through college. So I know what it feels like to live in that body. But I also don't carry a cell phone. And I'm an outcast in that way, right? But there's one of my favorite Western research guys, Stephen Porges, who did tons of work on the vagus nerve and autonomic nervous system. He says it better than anyone, I think. He says, look, there came a point in our development where we entrusted the necessity of communication. We entrusted those rules to people who were so socially damaged that of course they created what they created, right? You give the power of communication over to people who are sitting in a closed room on a computer all day, who don't want to talk to people, who are afraid to talk to people, and you give them the power of how to define how we communicate, and this is what we get, right? And so it's actually just a reflection of our damage, not our health. And of course, it's making people sick. And the data is out now. There's like no hiding from it. It's there. It's making all of us sick. And I can talk about that on a factual level from a clinical standpoint, and I can talk about it on a personal level. We are losing the ability to have relationship that our nervous system needs. Our nervous systems are not equipped to do text or image-based relationships. They are equipped to read faces and body language and register sense and touch and all that stuff. We literally require that to regulate ourselves. It's not an option. It's not like a luxury or anything like that. And we've chosen to turn our backs to that, and it's not sustainable. So the sooner we drop it, the better.
I would love to just leave our listeners with a sense of inspiration and hope. So, Doctor, what would you like to say to our listeners as we bring this all to a close?
I would say that because of millions of years of nature crafting your form, that is so much more deeply embedded than this disease layer we put on top of it, that you will find that if you put the cell phone down and go and talk to someone face to face and learn how to communicate again, even if you were never taught how, learn how to communicate, and those resources are available. There are people speaking up, that your nervous system will kick on and it will, quote unquote, remember how to do it because it's built into you. So everyone has hope to reconnect with their own body and in such reconnect with their life.
And I say, turn on music, grab somebody and start dancing.
All right. That's the way we like to end these shows here at Athena Wellness. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, it's amazing to see you, gentlemen. You both look incredibly well. You're doing wonderful work in the world, and it was really an honor to have you on today. Thank you so much.
All right, and we'll see you out here in Italy this summer, right, Kat?
Hey, get my passport out. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know there are many ways you can spend your time. Thank you for choosing to spend it with me. Until our paths cross again, be kind to yourself and show your warrior spirit some love. If you know anyone who could benefit from today's episode, please pass it on. And many thanks for supporting the show by subscribing and leaving a review. It means a lot, and it helps others find their way to our circle. If you'd like to access the show notes, have a question you'd like addressed on a future episode, or would like a transcript of this episode, visit www.athenawellness.com/podcast. Until next time, be well.